Hi everyone. I just wanted to. I've spent the last day or so thinking about this Super League thing that's been announced, and a few of you'll know of me from being on Joe's channel, doing some of the watch-alongs, or being on All Leeds TV, um, discussing player ratings, or the upcoming match or whatever it may be. But I just wanted to get my point across, and Joe's very kindly sort of said he put the video on his Just Joe channel, which is great, and I thank Joe for that. Because I think I'm frustrated today, like a lot of football fans are, at what we see as a really dark day for football, a real kick in the stones for football fans, in the Premier League, in English football, and across European football. Um, for those that don't know me, I am a Leeds United fan, so please, people will think, oh, uh, someone from outside the top six being jealous that we're going away and doing this as a top six club, or big six, not top six, sorry, because some of them certainly aren't anywhere near the top six, are they? A big six club. That's not the case at all. I'm coming at this from a football fan's point of view, and a football fan who's lived through the highs and lows of what football brings as a fan. It's well documented what Leeds United have been through in the last 20 years. We were one of Europe's, you know, bigger clubs. We were in the Champions League. We were doing absolute bits in Europe. Um, very close to a Champions League final and stuff like that. But as a club, we over risked, I guess is a word, if that is even a word. We took a gamble and it didn't pay off, and we plummeted. We plummeted into Championship and ended up in League One. And for 16 years, us as a fan base have lived through some real lows. Um, Bad owners, bad managers, players just there for one last payday. But the one thing that stayed true was the fan base. And I'm not just talking the fans that were stood at Ellen Road on a Tuesday night in the peeing down rain, 16, 18,000 of us. I'm talking about fan base around the world, because Leeds has a global fan base. Scandinavia, Australia, America, massive following in Ireland, and other places. There's fan clubs all over the world. You will always go, wherever you go on holiday, wherever you travel, you will meet another Leeds United fan. And we stuck with the club through that, because I could never see myself supporting anywhere else. Once once you are Leeds United, um, it runs through your veins. It's part of you. Do you know what I mean? Um, and we were down in League One, and it was horrendous. But it's all part of being a fan. Do you know what I mean? The 6 pointers in the relegation battles, the pushing for promotion, the banter you have with the other fans up and down the leagues, the local rivalries, us with Huddersfield and the Sheffield clubs and everyone else. Do you know what I mean? It's all part of being in football. The getting promoted, us winning the Championship last season, us doing bits in the Premier League now. Going and beating Man City only last weekend with 10 men. It's all part of football, and that emotion and that drama is being sucked out of it by this new Super League announcement. Um, People saying, I've seen again, I've been looking at comments on, the Premier League did very similar, and Champions League was similar. The difference is the Premier League and they're not closed shops. They're not closed shops. So Leicester win the Premier League, bang, Champions League. Very likely to get Champions League again. West Ham, top four, pushing for a Champions League spot. Probably, definitely going to get some kind of European spot. That's great, and that's their fans have had to put with their nonsense over the last few years as well, and they're having a great season, and they should be loving it, and are loving it. And these big six, and I will do that because this is nothing against Spurs fans. Again, supporters, I'm completely disconnecting from the actual clubs here. Spurs, Big Six. What credentials have Spurs got to consider themselves one of Europe's big clubs? They haven't. You could claim that Villa or Forest or Leeds even, do you know what I mean, have got more right to claim themselves as one of Europe's bigger clubs than Spurs. They've never won anything in Europe. Um, so let's be honest as to what it is. It's money. It comes down to money. who's got the biggest bank balance and who wants to go and play with the big boys and shut the rest out. And for me, football's a competition. It's about competition. It's about getting there on merit. What is the point in a competition when there is no competition? So these 12 to 15, the numbers are still, they're still unaware of the actual numbers at the minute. 12 have announced themselves, let's call it. Can't get relegated from this. They can't drop out of this competition. What's the point of it then? So 1 or 2 seasons down the line, me, if I was a fan of one of these clubs, I'd be like, I'm bored of this. Playing the same clubs week in, week out. Oh, we lost our first 4 games. We've got no chance of winning the Super League. Rest of the season is just friendlies, for want of a better term, innit? Turning up just to get your bank balance swollen. It's scandalous. It really is. It's all about greed. 100%. I saw all Gary Neville's points yesterday and 100% agree with him. What do I think should happen? Boot them. Boot them for me. It's becoming clear today that the letter of intent, contracts, whatever, have been signed. UEFA, the Premier League, everyone else need to be strong on this. This is my opinion. Boot them, square out the league. Just boot them. And out of the domestic competitions, everything else, boot them out of the Champions League. English football would take some time to adjust. Does it get devalued? Probably to start with a little bit. Of course it does. Because those bigger clubs aren't there anymore. And English football would have to work hard to protect those clubs down towards the lower end of the pyramid still. I don't buy all this nonsense that's currently being announced in the last hour that, there'll be more money fed out of this Super League down to the grassroots. I'm not buying that at all. I'm not. It sounds to me like they're flapping because they expected a backlash, but they didn't expect this bigger backlash. And apparently reports coming out of the clubs as well to say they don't care about the negative press or the reaction of fans. It's all about getting as much money as possible. That's the attitude these clubs are taking. So, as a football fan, I stand united with the fans of all these clubs who are annoyed, angry, upset, everything else at the actions their clubs have taken in the last 24 hours. Although this has been going on, this has been being talked about for years, but they've actually gone ahead and made the move now. So I don't care if you're a Manchester United fan, our rivalry is strong, do you know what I mean? And on game day, our rivalry is still strong, which isn't too far away, it's only a few days away. But as fans of football, I 100% stand by you. We've got to fight this as a group of football fans because the joy and the emotion that we get out of football is being sucked dry out of it as we speak, as we sit here now, renewing our Twitter feeds or checking on Facebook or on YouTube or watching Sky Sports News, whatever it may be. The emotion and the drama and everything we love about football is being sucked out of it for nothing more than people lining their pockets with more cash. So I do hope that the Premier League, UEFA, FIFA, the FA can keep reeling them off, all stand strong on this. What I want to see is players and managers coming out and standing against this as well. I've just seen Thomas Tuchel basically saying he doesn't know enough. He just wants to talk about the football, which is, I think, what we're probably going to see a lot of in the next 24, 48 hours. But I'd like to see, as this ages a little bit, that players come out and managers come out and sort of speak up against it. Time will tell if that happens. I'd also like to see the media companies turn their backs on it and, TV rights and stuff like that. But, I mean, I think I'm dreaming there if I think that companies are going to turn down potentially broadcasting this stuff. And it'll come down to fans again. If no one switches it on, then it's costing broadcasting companies a lot of money to broadcast this stuff and for no one to watch it. And then the broadcasting companies think differently about, rebuying the rights. So at the end of the day, no matter what level we're at here, this comes down to the fans again to do something about it. I've seen that there's I think supporters groups at Liverpool have asked for their flags to be removed out of the Kop at Anfield. I've seen there's flags gone up outside Anfield, basically saying "Rest in peace, Liverpool," etc., etc. I believe there's planned protest down at Ellen Road tonight during the game, and if fans of Leeds and Liverpool or whoever else are planning on attending, then I just hope that it doesn't get silly or out of hand. Fans need to think sensibly about this. To get voices heard, this is going to be quite a long and hard fight. I think these muppets that own these clubs don't care what we think, so we have to do the talking sensibly and where it's going to hit them most. So it's all right us all protesting now, but if we're all tipping up to the games or watching the games, whatever it may be, then if this Super League thing comes off, then they'll just crack on because they're getting their pockets lined. So I hope that everyone who does go to Ellen Road tonight, if it happens, just stay sensible, keep aware about around the COVID guidelines, etc., etc. But absolutely make voices heard. Football is about passion. Football is about emotion. We often get lauded as Leeds fans and as a club of being one of the more passionate out there, something we love. And I'm so pleased that Andrea Radrizzani's come out and condemned this Super League thing. And like I say, I'll take him for his word. I'd like to think that if we were 3, 4, 5 seasons down the line and this had happened, if we'd have been invited, then we would have said no. If at any point Leeds United were invited into this nonsense as it stands, then me as a Leeds fan would turn his back on the club. And that pains me to say that because I love this football club. But I can't support a club that would support this. And I'm seeing a lot of the fans of these big 6 clubs saying exactly the same. Season tickets not being renewed, memberships not being renewed. That's the only way us as fans can fight this. It's basically by not handing our money over in whatever way that is to these clubs. So good on those fans is what I say. It's not easy for those that are true passionate supporters of their clubs. It isn't easy to turn your back on it. It's everything, isn't it? It's your Saturday afternoon out with your mates, whether at the game or down the pub watching them. The banter that flies around, it's all in. And that's going, or potentially going for 6 groups of fans. There'll be potentially no more Premier League for them. And like I say, for an action, the Premier League got to stay strong, got to kick them, got to boot them, relegate them, whatever it may be. I don't know the exact thing, but the Premier League got to make a stand on this. And I hope they do. I hope they do, and I hope the UEFA do. Certainly the noises coming out at the minute are exactly that there's potential next year for a Premier League without a Man United, without a Liverpool. I mean, those 2 clubs especially, and Arsenal, I guess, with the history that those 3 clubs have got, they should be the first ones stood up against this saying, absolutely not. Liverpool's lifeblood is the Champions League and its previous forms as well. They go on about it, we get the 6 fingers all the time, all the rest of it. It's insane to think that Liverpool wouldn't be in a Champions League ever again. I'm not saying they're not in it because they haven't qualified. That happens. That's what you do. You have to get there on merit, finish in the top 4, win the FA Cup, whatever it may be to qualify for Europe. Us as Leeds fans are sat currently looking at a Premier League table going, there's an outside chance we might make Europa League. That's what this game's all about. And if it doesn't happen, we go, oh, and we'd still be chuffed because we've had a great season. But other fans of other clubs be like, just missed out. You get up and you go again the next season. That's what it's all about. And that's just not going to happen with this. A competition where you can't be relegated. You can be invited in. Another 5 teams potentially invited in on merit. What happens if one of those teams wins that? What? And then what? You can stay for another season, but then you're gone again. You can stay to defend your crown, but then you're gone again. That's not right. that's not right, because it's not, you're not, that's not getting there on merit. That's getting there on invitation from being invited by clubs whose owners also own this league, run this league. Florentino Perez, the Real Madrid president, is the chairman of this league. Joel Glazier, one of the owners at Man United, is the vice chairman of this league. So the clubs are running the league. What hope is there for any other club outside of that? None. Absolutely none. Because if you did turn up, you know, say billionaires, multiple billionaires bought a Newcastle United, like what happened recently, and all of a sudden Newcastle have big bucks. Those clubs aren't going to, those current clubs in this Big Six, Big 12, they're not going to want Newcastle in there really, because they're going to take a little bit more slice of the pie. So there's no hope. There's no hope for any of these other clubs. The Champions League would be weakened, the Premier League would be weakened, Serie A would be weakened, the La Liga would be weakened. And yes, it potentially would recover, but not without some fatalities as we go down those football pyramids. And that's really sad. For the supporters of these like smaller clubs, let's call them, those clubs are potentially gone. This is another nail in the coffin for clubs that are already struggling because of the COVID pandemic. I mean, let's be clear, what disgusting timing this is as well. People struggling to keep the jobs, people struggling to keep the houses, people struggling everywhere because of a global pandemic and economic crisis. And these fat cat rich people sat on a Zoom call somewhere deciding that they want £300 million more a year because, oh dear, my pockets aren't lined with enough cash. It's an absolute disgrace. So yeah, let's hope that the fans stay united on this. Let's hope that the fans find a voice together, that we back each other. Now isn't the time for taking the mick out of rival team supporters, because this will be hurting. And again, as a Leeds fan, I could sit there and go and point my fingers, because we've been ripped, but we were ripped because we got relegated. We were ripped because we had a stupid owner. And that's part of football, but what's happening now isn't football. These are fans who are talking about disowning their clubs and not wanting to support them anymore. And as a fan base, we've got to stay united and fight through this and try and see it off at the pass. And the only way we can do that is by speaking with our wallets, or lack of wallet. Nothing's going to hurt a global brand like a Manchester United or a Liverpool more than that brand not selling. And that's how they see themselves, as a brand. And they are brands, there's no denying that. But you can be a brand without turning your back on these legacy fans, as they like to call us, fans who were there through thick and thin. You can still be a brand and do that. We've seen other clubs doing it. Leicester are building a brand. Leeds are going down the same lines, although very much earlier in the process of rebuilding a global brand. It's one of Andrea Radrizzani's big dreams, is to see Leeds United as a global brand again. You can do it and still respect the loyal fan base as well, the true fan base. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it really. I've not got any notes or all like that, so I've sort of rambled on, and I appreciate it might seem like a bit of a ramble. Needless to say that my blood's boiled with this. I've tried to come across as calm on this, so I get my point across and I just rant. Appreciate people sticking comments. Obviously, like I say, thanks to Joe for letting me put this out. I massively appreciate it. Yeah, and we'll see how Leeds get on tonight against Liverpool, because it seems like 99% of the fan base out there, from what I've seen on social media, are backing Leeds to go and give one of the greedy six an absolute whopping tonight. And then we've got Manchester United a few days later, so never has there been more incentive, let's say. So let's get into them tonight. Anyone that's going to one of these protests, please just keep your heads on, act responsibly, etc., etc. You're all adults, you know what I mean? Don't want me telling you, but we know what it can get like. But let's make sure as a fan base our voices are heard and our wallets do the talking if necessary. Yeah, and that's it. I'll no doubt see some of you later on for Leeds versus Liverpool, and fingers crossed we can talk about the football a little bit, and no doubt chat about this some more as well. Thanks everyone for listening. Cheers, bye bye.